Welcome to the Pharmacy Podcast. Join us as we delve into the dynamic world of pharmacy, exploring the latest trends, innovations, and insights that shape the industry. Our podcast is proudly brought to you by the Independent Pharmacies of Australia Group, IPA, dedicated to supporting independent and bannered pharmacies nationwide. We're committed to connecting all member pharmacies under the IPA national brand, recognized by Australians for elevating community healthcare to meet local needs. Our vision drives our mission to empower pharmacists and pharmacy professionals. From discussions on healthcare advancements and regulatory updates to interviews with industry experts and success stories from pharmacy professionals, we cover it all. Our goal is to inspire and equip pharmacists to thrive in today's ever-evolving landscape while championing the values of independence, community, and excellence. Brad Butt is the managing partner of Cooleman Court Pharmacy in the ACT, a multi-award-winning pharmacist and the founder of Mens Health Downunder, the largest male health pharmacy clinic in Australia. Established in 2013, the pharmacy-led model of care was developed by Brad to provide professional expertise about specific men's health without any embarrassment or privacy concerns. Brad is a pharmacist passionate about the health and well-being of his local community and the broader Australian male population. Working with in excess 1,000 patients annually in the men's health space, Brad and his multidisciplinary team are well equipped to work alongside GPs and urologists to help patients feel not only informed, but also to offer solutions which are tailored to their need. Brad is keen to share his knowledge on issues such as continence, erection, libido, prostate cancer, and penile rehabilitation. Brad, you are one of those pharmacists that always fascinates me. If I'm going to be honest, if I'm going to speak frankly, if I'm going to speak truthfully, you're the unexpected pharmacist, if almost for lack of a better word. You're a laid back kind of guy. You don't stress too much, and yet you do amazing things in the pharmacy world. You're an entrepreneur, you're a pharmacist, you're a father. You take time to enjoy life because you just came back from a road trip last year.
Yeah, 7 months away. Yeah, life is very busy.
Yeah, it can be. That's what I'm saying. It's just extraordinary. This world of pharmacy is never what it was in the brochure. Let's put it that way.
No.
So tell me the journey from being a pharmacist, graduating as a pharmacist, then becoming a managing partner, and then now starting Mens Health Downunder. Surely there was a process. There was a little bit of journey there. Take me on that journey.
Well, yeah, so I studied at Wagga when there was a pharmacy course in Wagga, Charles Sturt University, and being from regional Australia, I'm originally from Armidale in northern New South Wales. I wanted to stay and be educated in a rural area. I think unfortunately Australians in regional and remote areas are at a disadvantage in terms of healthcare often. They're not, they haven't got the same number of specialists and GPs and allied health, and the accessibility is often challenging. So I thought regional education would be good, so regionally educated, and then got registered in Canberra because there was an opportunity to study part-time in hospital, part-time in community. I'd worked in community since I was 12, picking up the rubbish at the local pharmacy in Armidale, and ended up cleaning shelves. And so I've seen everything from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high in community pharmacy. I've been there and done that. And I think that was important. And once I got registered, having done some hospital work, I thought I like hospital, but I don't want to do that. I want to have my regular patients. And then I went to New Zealand as a registered pharmacist. Yeah. I got registered in New Zealand and had a holiday with a mate from uni. So we hiked for 6 months and worked a tiny little bit, came back to Australia and thought it was time to knuckle down. And anyway, that's where the Australian journey started. And probably a love of helping people continued, particularly in regional areas. I've got a pharmacy in Armidale still. which is great. So I enjoy getting out into the regional areas, and obviously pharmacy in Canberra. But as most pharmacists can probably relate to, you get that sort of professional itch, and after a while, when you're really confident and comfortable checking scripts and vaccinating and dosing, opioid replacement therapies and talking about mums and bubs, and you feel like you've bettered your skill set down. You're now at the point in your career where you're asking what's next. I thought I'll go and study medicine. And it was at that point in time the partner of the pharmacies here in Canberra said, maybe you'd like to be a partner. I said, that sounds good. So that scratched the itch for a few years. And I decided not to do medicine. And then just probably 5 years after that, no, probably not even, probably a couple of years after that, I was sort of thinking, what else? What next? And that was when the Men's Health thing came along. And it's been 11 years doing Men's Health. And I guess what I've found, Melody, is that it's opened other opportunities, other doors. So, we're about to do a Women's Health Downunder, and we're launching services in Ireland for Men's Health Downunder, and we're launching services in New Zealand. So I think, it's important to be challenged in your work, and it's important not only to be challenged, but to be challenged by something that you feel completes you, makes you feel like you're doing something valuable. And, just running a business can feel a bit sort of, not capitalistic, that's not the right word, but it can feel a bit sort of mechanical. So being able to, so being able to do the Men's Health where you're actually, you're running a business and there's a bit of profit in it, which is all great. It keeps the business afloat. Mm-hmm. You, at the end of the day, can go home, put your head on the pillow and think, today I helped 10 blokes through my clinic, and not like a doctor where you're seeing 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 patients in your GP practice a day and you can't remember who you saw or what you talked about. Like, you're going home and you feel like you've made a real difference. And I think the full scope of practice leads nicely into that. But the Men's Health for me well and truly predates full scope of practice, and for me is my full scope of practice.
So Brad, I'm going to take it back one step and just give a little bit of context for the listeners as well, because you are a managing partner at Cooleman Court.
Yes.
Which is part of the Life Pharmacy Group.
Yes.
Men's Health Downunder was established in 2013 at Cooleman Court.
Yes.
Has it remained at Cooleman Court, or has it expanded and evolved beyond that?
Yeah. So that's exactly right. So it was established at the pharmacy. We ran it through the pharmacy because it made sense. I was at the pharmacy, and as a pharmacist, I'm sure you can relate. You have time in your day, and I call it grey time. It's not when you're having a rest or when you're busy working with the patients or the staff or whatever. It's that grey time between a phone call, between emails, between a script, where you're not necessarily doing anything valuable or tangible anyway. And I guess it was during those grey moments at Cooleman Court Pharmacy where it was initially built. And look, that's not to say that, that was an email here, a phone call there, a consult here or there with a patient, talking about a Viagra here or there, building my knowledge. Most of Men's Health Downunder was built between the hours of probably 9 o'clock at night and 3 o'clock in the morning. So, and that was over, 10 years. So it took a long time outside of work hours to get done. However, the community pharmacy presented a great opportunity to develop skills, meet patients, make connections with doctors, and practice implementing those. We did get to the point pretty quickly where we found it was almost too busy at the community pharmacy. There was too much going on, and it was taking me away from my regular patients. And I say that probably not exactly as it sounds. Like, I was still there, I was still accessible. However, they couldn't just walk up and say, "Hey, Brad, I wanted to ask you about this." They'd have to say, "Is Brad around? Can I have a quick word?" "Yeah, he's here. I'll go and get him." And here's Brad, and he has a chat to the patient. So that worked. But I guess reflecting on it now, it did take me away from my patients a little bit. And I didn't want to be that pharmacist that wasn't available, because that's why I'm a pharmacist. And that's why I worked at the Cooleman Court Pharmacy, because I could have those interactions and relationships with my patients. So anyway, the short of that story is back in 2021, just as COVID was breaking, we set up a clinic in Canberra in a medical precinct in Deakin. So we've got a cardiologist, an ophthalmologist, a gynecologist, obstetrician, ultrasound, X-ray people, so imaging, dentists, neurologists. They're all in my building. So, and here sits the lonely pharmacist amongst all these other medical specialists, which is it's a really beautiful thing. And so we set that clinic up, Tim Stewart and myself. Tim's one of our Men's Health pharmacists. In fact, he was one of the very first pharmacists that were trained up as a Men's Health pharmacist. Tim and myself run the clinic here 5 days a week with the assistance of Robert Smith, who's another young pharmacist, which is great. So we see 1,000 patients a year through the clinic here. We still have the relationship with Cooleman Court Pharmacy because in my clinic space, I can't dispense Cialis or Viagra or intracavernosal injections. So the community pharmacy is still really important, and we have a great range of incontinence products and other things that the men need. So we're still that one-stop shop, Cooleman Court Pharmacy, for that stuff. However, most services are now conducted within the clinic. And it's funny, I talk about those other doctors in the clinic. Often the patient will come in, they're booked in, and they say, "Oh, hello, doctor." And you're like, no, I'm not a doctor. I'm a pharmacist.
Pharmacist.
And proud, and look, might I say, Melody, as well, proud to be a pharmacist because, I think pharmacists got a very special skill set, and we've got a lot that we can offer our patients that doctors, nurses, physios can't.
100% agree. 100% agree. And sometimes your patients will actually be more frank and honest with you.
Yeah, I think so.
Than they probably would be with a doctor as well.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Before I got on the call with you, I had a telehealth consult with a fella in Newcastle or Gosford, so just up the Central Coast, just north of Sydney. And as we were finishing up the conversation, because we were in a bit of a rush to get into the podcast now, I said, I've got to go. And he goes, "Oh, listen, it's been really wonderful talking to you." He said, "If I can be so rude as to say, it's almost like talking to a mate at the pub." And I've had it said before. And I think that that's really nice, because at the end of the day, as a health professional, we've got that knowledge, but we don't have to make the patient feel belittled or silly or anything like that. I don't dress up. I'm wearing my board shorts today. I wouldn't do that in a consult. But the point of the matter is, we can be
relaxed.
We can be professional, but we can also be relaxed and frank and honest and spend that extra time with the patient. It's not about, "Hey, why are you here today?" "Oh, I've got erectile dysfunction." "Okay, here's a solution. There's a script for Viagra. See you later." It was some pathology to figure out what's going on. It's, "Hey, I'm Brad. I'm a pharmacist. I've got 4 little kids. I love doing what I do. I'm not from Canberra. I'm from regional New South Wales. This is a bit about me." And then they say, "Hey, I'll tell you a bit about me," and you'll learn a bit about them. And then, okay, what are you here for? Like, what motivated you to come in today? So having the time is a really beautiful thing. And I think building the relationship with the patient, as pharmacists do ever so well, even in a brief consult at the pharmacy, new script, a couple of minutes, we learn who they are, what motivates them, how we're going to get them to do what we need them to do. And then we can progress down the track of being that healthcare professional. So we've built the relationship. Now we can impart some knowledge on you. We can help you with the problem. And I think that that's really critical. So I'm happy to be the bloke that you'd have a beer with down the pub, that you feel comfortable with, because I know they're going to tell me everything I need to know. And they're not going to sugarcoat that bitter pill. They're going to tell me, this is how it is, and this is what I need help with.
Very true. I always say when a patient comes into a pharmacy, there's 2 experiences they can have: a good experience or a bad experience. There's no in between. No. And it's our responsibility to make it a good experience. And we be whatever that patient needs us to be so that they can walk away with a good experience. Because no one's coming into a pharmacy on a good day.
No.
They come in sometimes on the worst days of their lives, when they've gotten the most devastating news ever. And they come in with that script that for sure is a palliative care prescription. No one just walks in just for fun into a pharmacy. So it's our job and our duty to make sure that our patients feel welcomed every single time they walk through that door, because we don't know what's just happened just on the other side of that door.
No, look, and whether you're
so I commend you for that.
And whether you're religious or not, like, I think that there's some really interesting principles. Like, it's that Good Samaritan thing, right? Like, you're there to help, and I really enjoy the girls will say, "Oh, here comes this patient's terrible new patient, really angry, not kind, always in a rush. Can you help? Can you look after them? Absolutely. I love them. And they're the ones that come in and say, I want to talk to Brad. And why is that? Because Brad spent the time and made them feel welcome. And they might be a real grouch, but you know what? They're not a real grouch. Deep down, there's a really nice person in there. They just want to be listened to. They've been diagnosed with something that's frightening. They've been treated badly by the pharmacist. We get it all the time with the opioid replacement patients, right? Like these poor souls, they're no different to someone with high blood pressure or anxiety, depression.
Yeah.
They just made a silly decision at some point and they've got caught up in a bit of a mess. We can make a huge difference. And so I think pharmacists are really privileged to play that part in people's lives and support them on the way out if it's palliative, support them with the chemotherapeutics or whatever it is for diagnosis of cancer, help them with the dry mouth or the upset tummy that they get from those really expensive, nasty medications. Not about this medication, this Zoladex or whatever it is. This is $1,000. I've got to order it in. I don't keep it. You should feel lucky that BPS covers it. Yeah, that's all good stuff for them to know, kind of, maybe, if you've got nothing else to say. But how's it affecting you? How can we help? Like, is your blood pressure all right? Yeah. What about your sugar with the change in, like with Zoladex, for example? Has it changed your metabolism? Are we checking your bone mineral density? Like, we can have a really nice therapeutic chat with these people and really make a difference. 100%. And I think what you say is spot on. We get them on their worst day, we get them on the best day, and we've got to look after them every day. It doesn't matter how they present, look after them.
Very true. Speaking of looking after patients, why Men's Health Downunder? I mean, you could have gone into cardiovascular disease. You could have gone down the diabetes pathway. You could have gone down women's health even. But why Men's Health Downunder? What triggered that? What was that triggering factor?
I've reflected on that myself a few times, and for the people I went to university with, and I graduated in 2006 at Wagga, I remember we had a yearbook at Charles Sturt. Maybe other unis do this as well, but there was a yearbook, and you had to write in the yearbook. There was a picture of you. I don't know where mine is. I'm sure if any of my friends are listening from uni days and you've got the yearbook, send me a photo, would you? Because I can't find it. But
please send it to me too. Send it to me too.
We had a big class. I think there might have been 70 or 80, 90 people that graduated that year at Wagga. But I remember you had to have a photo and a little spiel about you. Yeah. And I remember it said, I remember writing, Brad can get, I enjoy getting even the, and it was probably very politically incorrect, I enjoy getting even the limpest of blokes up and out for a good time, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny, I reflect on that occasionally. Yeah. I think, was that a bit of an insight into the future? Did I have an idea that I was going to be doing men's health? And we do a lot of penile injections, right? Yeah. So it kind of made sense that, here I am helping guys get lead in the pencil because they've got someone to write to, but can't get the lead in there. So it's funny, I look back at that, and maybe it was just serendipitous, probably was. The light bulb moment for me, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, was I had Michael, patient come into the pharmacy, a regular diabetic patient. He was in often every couple of days. Sort of old fellow that would get you in close and he'd tell you the dirty joke, you'd laugh at it and make sure nobody else heard because it was often either politically incorrect, rude, racist, and you'd laugh and say, oh, that was a good one, thank you, talk to you next time. And he came and he said, Brad.
That awkward laugh?
Awkward laugh, yeah. That's right.
That awkward laugh.
That's a good one. Don't tell too many people that one. And he came in one day and he said, I need a penis pump. Pull me in close, I need a penis pump. I laughed. I said, oh, good, funny, excellent. Yeah. I'll get your script ready. There's your metformin. Good to see you, mate. On your way. He said, no, I actually do need a penis pump. Anyway, I took him into the consult room, and it was a consult room. It didn't have a door. It didn't have a roof. It was like a pod of sorts. Anyway, went in there and I said, well, tell me, what's going on? What do you need this pump for? He said he had a prostatectomy. Anyway, the short of the very long story was he was crying. I was crying. I said, I didn't realise you had prostate cancer. I didn't realise you'd use a penis pump. I proceeded thereafter immediately to call his urologist's office, and the urologist's receptionist answered, Moira, who I know very well now, and she answered and she said, she's Irish, and she said, yes, look, come on down to see him. Yes, no worries. Can you be here in 15 minutes? And I said, oh, that quick? Okay, no worries. Hopped in the car, drove to the urologist's office at the hospital, and the urologist's office was full of people, and he comes out, this fairly imposing character. A lot of the urologists are alpha males. They're the top of the tree. They're surgeons. They're well regarded. They save people's lives. And he points at me, you, right, in. So, all right, into his office. And I was only, probably No, I might not have been 30, I don't think. Anyway, into his office. He sat me down at the big mahogany desk with the green leather on it, and I was on one side and he was on the other, and he fired a few questions at me around how do PDE5 inhibitors work, and why wouldn't it work when you've had a prostatectomy? I didn't know what a prostatectomy was. Anyway, he said, we can work with you. And I said, what does this fellow need a pump for? And he said, this is what it's for. It's for rehabilitation, keeping the penis healthy. And he said, if you can get them, there's a fella in the US I want you to buy it from. Okay, no worries. And he gave me the fella's details, and he said, if you get him in, he said, I'll send you 3 patients a week. Okay. As a business person, I thought, oh, that sounds all right. We can help people and make a few bucks on the fly. So we ordered 100 pumps. They turned up at my doorstep. My wife, Amanda, just had our first baby, Sophie, 10 bit years ago. And she signed for the parcel, and she said, oh, what's this? And the gent said, from FedEx or wherever it was, said, oh, they don't know, I'm not sure. And signed, went. And it says on the side of the box, medical grade penis pumps. And Amanda called me immediately and said, what have you done? What are you doing? Anyway, so that's kind of where it started. And I think, the takeaway from that is if you're an early career pharmacist, or not even an early career pharmacist, if you listen to your patients, they'll give you little nuggets of gold every now and again, right? They'll tell you interesting things. And if you dig into it, you'll learn, oh, that's an unmet need. And looking back at it now, that was a massive unmet need. We now import tens of thousands of these pumps every year into Australia. I've learned about TGA sponsorship. So we're a TGA sponsor for a dozen medical devices, which is a different thing altogether. I know nothing about it. But one of the blokes I went through uni with, Anthony Zarilli, Anthony, if you're listening today, Anthony does a whole lot of medical device registration work for a company out of Brisbane and does all our TGA work. So, you've got people in your circles that know stuff that you don't. You need to lean on them, be it a urologist, somebody, a pharmacist who's got special skill set. Asking the right questions is really important, and keeping your ears open at all times and thinking how you can help people, because there's plenty of opportunity out there. Yep. I don't know if that even answered the question, but I thought it was a fun story.
That actually did. So if I'm going to summarize it a little bit, because my next question leads to it. So Michael came in, you met a need that Michael had, and you were able to therefore establish Men's Health Downunder purely off the back of Michael.
Correct.
I'm really hoping Michael gets a cut of whatever of the clinic. But on a serious note, you've had one clinic, but then that hasn't stopped you from actually having satellite clinics. So you're willing and able to actually impart your knowledge to others so that they can actually also do the same. So do as I do almost.
Yeah, exactly right.
How many satellite clinics do you have now?
I'd have to jump on the website and have a look, but I think there could be 20. 20? Yeah, 20 clinics around Australia, some in regional, some in remote, some in metro. So, most capital cities have got a Men's Health Downunder offering, which is great. All run by pharmacists. I did have a good mate who's a nurse running an offering in Sydney, but he ended up finding work in a rehab hospital and didn't have time to do it anymore. But I'm working on getting him back in, Declan, if you're listening. Looking forward to getting you back in as a registered nurse. But most metropolitan areas of the capital cities of each state have got a Men's Health Downunder offering. But we've got clinics in places like Dubbo. So Dubbo is not a huge town. We've got Brad and Joe in Albany in WA, and Albany's 500 kilometres from Perth, and it's a fairly small area, but it's got a large population of people that live around it that don't want to have to go to Perth. So I guess, look, that's right. And it's not tricky to be a men's health pharmacist. There's not a lot of knowledge you need. Most of it was imparted to you in university. Maybe you were too busy doing other things and didn't absorb it, or you didn't read the notes, or you didn't pay it enough attention, or you've forgotten. It's a bit like you forget your pharmacology if you don't practice it.
You do.
But, it's easily re-established. You don't have to be young necessarily. Like I've got Joe and Tony in Sydney, lovely guys, late stage pharmacists. They've owned pharmacies, they've sold pharmacies, and now they just do men's health and a bit of diabetic education because they feel it's time to give back to the community and do something that's that provides a tangible benefit. And they can sort of work the work hours they want to work. They don't have to work 9 till 7 every day. They don't have to trade 7 days. They can just do a couple of days a week doing men's health. So I think, there's something there for everybody. And it's funny, when we first started doing it, we tried to set out a capabilities matrix, and capabilities
Yes.
matrix sort of was drawn up to give pharmacists the opportunity to say, I'm in a small regional area, I'm not seeing a lot of patients, but I'd like to be able to help them. So we sort of said, oh, you're a bit like a referral source. So you might not have the knowledge, but you could put them in touch with us in Canberra or wherever, and we'll help them. But equally, you might be a bit of a weekend warrior. You might be in a small place like Joe and Tony in Albany, Joe and Brad in Albany, and you want to be a weekend warrior. You want to be able to help these blokes without my help. So they came to Canberra, did some training with us. We took them to the urologist's office, showed them how to do an injection, show them all the devices, teach them about the, Peyronie's disease, incontinence, prostate cancer, penile rehab, PDE5 inhibitors, and they go back and they do it in their own pharmacy over there without any support from me. Obviously, if they need help because they get the curly question, like Anthony in Port Lincoln today, Anthony calls up and he says, can we get Xiaflex, which is used overseas for Peyronie's disease? No, we can't. It's not registered for use. We can't get it compounded. We're going to have to try something else. So these guys work independently, but we're here if we need them. So I think it's really nice. It's a beautiful relationship we all have. We all go to the conferences together. And so we're off to the Prostate Cancer Conference in Melbourne in August. We're an exhibitor on the floor there, and all the boys are coming along. And you don't have to be a boy, I might say, Melody. If you wanted to do it as a female, you'd be welcome. There's no reason.
Like, hold up.
Yes.
I might want to jump into this space myself.
Yeah, and we do get women that ask if it would be appropriate. Absolutely, it's appropriate. No problem at all. A lot of the guys are quite comfortable talking to a female about it. So when I say the boys, they are all the boys at the moment, but it doesn't need to be. So if you're interested and you're a female, get in touch. So all the guys are coming to Melbourne, and it's always funny. You go to these conferences, they're designed for urologists and prostate nurses, and they'll say, oh, why are you guys all in white? What are you guys? Oh, we're pharmacists. And they say, pharmacists? We didn't know pharmacists did this work. It's insightful, and it's really nice to be able to say, yeah, we're pharmacists, and we do something different. Yeah. This is what we do. And they say, oh, how nice is that? Can we refer patients to you too?
We're the unsung heroes in the community, I think.
Well, we do a lot of the heavy lifting.
We are saving the world, my friend. But so I don't have to do the full clinic. If I just wanted to do the awareness component, be able to talk to patients, give them advice, I could just do that.
Yeah.
Or do I need to do the full clinic?
No, not at all. If you were in Melbourne, for instance, and you had a relationship with a urologist and you wanted to do more, you wanted to have a full clinic, by all means. But look, I've got, there's a lovely fellow, Mark, in Goomeling. Goomeling's in very regional WA, population of 700 people. Mark does it, and that's fantastic. So Mark hasn't come to Canberra. He went and saw Neil in Perth, our Mens Health Pharmacist there. Had a bit of time with Neil, saw a few things, and now he's there. He's got all the bits and bobs that he needs. He's got penile clamps and vacuum pumps, a little bit of knowledge, but he's got connections. And I think, to your point, you don't have to do the full clinic. You can absolutely be that person in your pharmacy, in your community, in your region that's got a little bit more knowledge than the average pharmacist that can help. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And it doesn't cost you anything to join us. You can like Mark, you can join up, buy a few things, keep them on hand, and sell them if you need them. So there's no registration or anything like training costs. It's just we're more than happy to help. And at the end of the day, my belief with this was if we can get more pharmacists doing this stuff around Australia, we're going to be able to help more men. And if we can help more men, and these men are like my dad, your dad, your grandparents, we're helping these guys. These people are a loved father, a loved grandfather, a loved son even. So, and it's really nice to be able to help those blokes that feel a bit like your dad.
Very true. I heard a funny story that last year you actually spread the word around Australia in a caravan with the fam. So took the family along, packed them all up in the caravan, and drove around spreading the word about Men's Health Downunder. How did that go down?
Beautifully, actually. Thank you. Yeah, it was lovely. Look, it was a little spur of the moment, kind of. I mean, we'd been thinking about it for maybe six months or something, but the kids were all at the right ages, so they were 10 and under. There's 4 of them, and we thought, you know what, it'd be really nice to spend the time with the family because as a pharmacist, and one of my interns 7 or 8 or 9 years ago, Annie Gordon-Carruthers, hello Annie, Dad Peter. Peter owned the pharmacy at Burke. Peter just sold that pharmacy recently. He's relocated to Dubbo now. But Annie, his daughter, worked with me as an intern. And Annie, as a 21, 22-year-old, said to me, Brad, if I've got one piece of advice for you, and I thought this will be interesting coming from an intern, she said, spend time with your family, spend time with the kids. And I reflect on that often. And I reflected on that when we took the trip, decided to take 7 months off work. That time is really valuable, and you can't get it back. And to Annie's point, her dad was really busy pharmacist, only pharmacist in Burke. Burke's in the middle of nowhere. So Peter was relied on all the time and probably didn't get to spend that time with the family as much as maybe he'd have liked or Annie had liked or the kids had liked. And I think that was a motivating factor. So when we had the opportunity to take Men's Health Downunder and take it around Australia, talk to pharmacists, and we called on maybe 100 pharmacies as we went around to talk to patients, to talk to nurses, urologists about what we do, I thought there's a golden opportunity. So we did it and had no regret. Look, I think in life, everything has a cost. It doesn't matter what it is, whether you turn the tap on, the light switch, whether you buy a car, a house, you rent, you go to university, you get education, everything has a cost. And for us, the cost of going away for 7 months really will pale into insignificance at the end of the day, I think. It's so nice to have that flexibility in your work. And, you know, God bless the Cooleman Court team, Cooleman Court Pharmacy team and my partners for giving me the opportunity to be able to exit that pharmacy. Probably took 6 weeks for the phone to stop ringing and the emails to stop coming, but to be able to exit that pharmacy for 6 months, 7 months and be away was a beautiful thing. And I think it's a thing that all pharmacists should consider talking to their partners about, talking to their employees about, talking to their managers about, their mentors about, because we do have an opportunity as a pharmacist to locum around Australia. You know, in Tennant Creek, I reckon at Tennant Creek, I probably could have stepped in there and worked for a month if I wanted to. There was lots of places like that where they'd be happy to have you locum. And that's another wonderful thing to be able to do to help out fellow pharmacists and the local community in those communities as you do travel. It doesn't have to be 6 months. It might be 2 months. You might go up to North Queensland or go out and do the Kimberley. Like, there's a lot you can do, and there's a lot of people that you can connect with. And variety's the spice of life, right, Melody? The more connection you've got, the more variety, the better.
It definitely is, Brad. Speaking about helping out and supporting other pharmacists and pharmacies, you're part of Independent Pharmacies of Australia. So Cooleman Court is part of Life Group. Life Group as a whole is part of Independent Pharmacies of Australia, which is IPA.
Yeah.
And I've got a strong ethos myself, as well as the whole of IPA, that we love to celebrate our members who are doing well. We love entrepreneurship. We love to support you. We're endeavoring to support you in every avenue, including the conference that's coming up shortly. Tell me about that, because you're also going to be a guest speaker at our conference, and you'll be featuring there as well, which is amazing. So give me a little bit of a snippet of what's happening at your conference. What's going on?
I will answer you, of course. But what I would also say to the listeners is being part of a group which is something more than just a group, and Independent Pharmacies of Australia, IPA, and you know, without wanting to sound like it's sponsored or anything, because it's certainly not, but IPA has been wonderful, right? We've got so much support from the team. When we told them we were having the conference in April, that's when I went away. When we told them we were having the conference in October, late October, they said, yes, brilliant, how can we help? And I think that that's a really nice thing to have that support. It's not about asking questions and, you know, we're not real confident about doing that. These guys, yep, no worries, more than happy to help. And, you know, in fact, they say, well, why don't you come to our conference and you can talk at our conference and tell people about what you do. And that's a really beautiful thing. So it's a big group, but it is like a giant big family. And the people within that business, within that organisation, they've been so easy to deal with and so kind, so friendly, so supportive. Look, I mean, I can't attribute the success of Men's Health Downunder to IPA. However, what I would say is they've absolutely helped elevate Men's Health Downunder and push me along and motivate me, which has been great. So thank you, Melody, for that. The conference is 20th and 21st of October, a Monday and a Tuesday. It's the Australasian Men's Health Conference, and we get physiotherapists coming, nurses, prostate nurses, incontinence nurses, loads of pharmacists, urologists, GPs, social workers, psychologists, all of those people that we talk about in our little podcast, in this MDT, the multidisciplinary team, they come along and learn from experts in the field. So, we've got a really wonderful urologist coming. We've got a men's sexual health GP coming. We've got a GP who retrained as a psychologist coming, who does a lot of men's sexual health work. We've got some patients coming to talk about their experience. We've got Anthony from the TGA approvals team that we work with coming to talk about what it means to have medical devices and what a medical device is. We've got pharmacists speaking. We've got some really interesting people coming to speak that are at the top of their field. And there'll be some really interesting learnings, I think, for delegates to get. But beyond the learnings and the education from those presenters, it's the opportunity to network and to meet other people that are doing similar things, to learn from them. And that's always valuable, because we can't, as pharmacists or as urologists or as nurses, we can't work in a silo. We need to share our expertise and our skills with the rest of the team. And I'll tell you why that's important, Melody, because people often don't understand. It's because we want the patient to get a good outcome. And at the end of the day, at the center of every conversation should be the patient. And I think too often in business, in practice, it's not about the patient, it's about the dollar, or it's about somebody being most important, being the person who's got the biggest chest and the strongest muscles. It's not about that. It's about the patient. It's about the person who goes home at the end of the day who suffers with the urinary incontinence and can't get help because nobody's interested. It's about the person who desperately wants to be intimate with the loved one but can't get an erection and doesn't know where to go. And it's about these people. So the network is really important. And it doesn't have to be the network in Albany in WA. It doesn't have to be the network in Sydney. It's the whole network around Australia. And I think the nice thing about the conference is it does draw those people of the MDT from around Australia in. And, it doesn't have to be somebody who's local. I use people all over the country to help my patients because they're the best and because I trust them. And I think that you can't build that trust and those relationships if you don't put yourself out there and go to the conferences and meet people and talk to people. Yes. So I'd encourage any listeners who don't know anything about the conference to go to the website and have a look. It's MHDU, like Men's Health Downunder, MHDU2024.com.au. Everything's on there. And if you're not sure, get in touch with me. I presume Melody will have information as to how to get in touch rather than me give my mobile out. But you can shoot me an email, brad@menshealthdownunder.com.au, or go to the website, put in an inquiry, and I'll call you. You will get Brad. The patients can't believe that either. They go to the website for information, and I call them, and they say, "Are you Brad that does the podcast and that runs the thing?" I say, "Yeah." And they say, "Oh, I never thought I would have had you call me." So it's really nice. But yeah, please get in touch. We'd love to have as many pharmacists come along as possible, because we know that pharmacists are great with compliance and great with seeing the patients when accessible, and we're all those good things that some of the other people in the MDT would love to be, but can't be. They just can't do that. They're too busy or whatever it might be. So come along.
So even if you're just interested, come along, because you don't need to be saying, yes, I want to start a clinic. Sometimes it's just upskilling, getting the knowledge that you need so that you can become a better pharmacist for your patients.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what?
Even networking, networking with those specialists.
The goodie bag is to die for. There's a pair of socks in there. Let me tell you, Melody, and I'll send you a pair of the socks. There's some socks in there that you would kill for. I promise you. So look, it's good fun. We're going to have a good time. I think sometimes conferences can be a bit boring and a bit, they say they're dynamic, or they're, a real opportunity to educate yourself. Yeah, look, it's probably all of that, but it's networking. It's fun, and you're going to learn some really cool stuff, and you're going to be able to help your patients better. You're going to meet some really cool people and the likes, but we're going to have fun. And I think that, you started by saying, Brad, you seem relaxed, and that you've got a lot going on, and maybe you're a bit of a different sort of pharmacist. And I probably am, but I look forward to imparting some of that on to people who come along, because we all take ourselves too seriously at times, and life's too short for that. So we're going to have fun. We're going to learn a bit. We're going to meet some cool people, do some cool stuff, and you're going to get a cool pair of socks and a few other things. So, yeah, come along. It's going to be good. You don't have to set up a clinic or anything that. But we'll tell you all about that if you want to hear about that. Sure, no worries.
I definitely will come along then. I definitely will. I know that the co-founders of IPA will also be there, Michael Flannery.
Michael's a dear friend, a terrific bloke. He's a fatherly figure. He's all of those wonderful things. He's certainly a mentor, but he's someone who I trust and respect deeply. His knowledge of the industry is fantastic. So Michael will probably be coming along, yes.
Yes, he
Michael
will.
likes
and
having
Steve
fun too.
Castronagas.
Steve as well.
Steve will also be there. So we're 100% behind you, Brad.
These pharmacists, Melody, and they can feel a bit you can feel a bit nervous talking to some of these sorts of pharmacists, these people who are mentors and leaders in the industry. But for any early career pharmacists or pharmacists that are listening to this that feel a bit anxious about talking to these guys, don't introduce yourself. Tell them who you are. Tell them a little bit about your story, and they will always be happy to listen and exchange business cards and help you. I think sometimes as young pharmacists, and I'd still put myself at 40 as a young pharmacist, we can feel anxious about talking to some of these people. And even to you, Melody, people would say, oh, that's that Melody, she's so busy and important. We're not like that at all. Talk to these guys. You'll learn a lot, and they'll be happy to help you. You just got to tell them a little bit about yourself. You've got to give a little bit to get a little bit, right? So give a bit, take a bit.
I love that. I love that analogy. As we round off this podcast today, there's always 2 questions that come out, not from me. First question is from an IPA team member. Today we have a question from Sam, who is IPA's marketing specialist. And he wants to know, if you could give one piece of unexpected but crucial health advice to men that might surprise them, what would it be?
Good question, Sam. And I will give you that piece of advice. That piece of advice coming from a men's health pharmacist who's passionate about all things related to urology, so that bit down below the belt, is that your penis is the barometer or the engine light for your heart. So if your penis isn't working, we are looking for why, and we do know that erectile dysfunction predates a diagnosis of cardiovascular health disease or high cholesterol, blood pressure by up to 5 years. So if there's something wrong with the engine light in your car, it is telling you there is a problem, you take it to the mechanic. If your penis is not becoming erect properly, you need to take it to the doctor. Like the engine light in your car, like the barometer that tells you something is not as it should be, your penis is a wonderful indicator as to your general health and well-being. If it is not working properly, take it to the doctor. I hope you don't need to go to the doctor, but if you do, go and do it. Don't wait. Don't wait 5 years and then find out it's too late, I've had a heart attack. We need to get in nice and early.
Oh, wow. Nice advice, actually. Never heard it put that way. Never heard it put that way. And it's actually very true. As you were speaking, I was like, that's how Viagra came about.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like the canary in the coal mine. The urologists often say canary in the coal mine, i.e. if you put the canary in there and it dies, it means there's carbon dioxide, don't go down in there. So, but I think the barometer, the engine light in the car, it's really valuable. And a lot of guys are nervous about talking about erectile dysfunction. But we also, as guys, we want to have good health too. And we know that guys suffer with cardiovascular health issues, but the erectile dysfunction is absolutely a very, very good and early indicator that something's awry. Because we don't go to the doctor every 12 months. I've had melanoma, so I go to the doctor regularly for a skin check. However, most blokes my age do not. So if something's not right, go and get it seen to. Good question, Sam. Thank you.
Second question, last question. This comes from ChatGPT. As AI becomes dominant in our world, we might as well ask it. If you woke up tomorrow in an alternate universe where you couldn't work in healthcare, what career path would you choose and why?
I would, and this is very boring, because I've thought about doing this before, actually. I thought about not being a pharmacist, which is sad, but I have. And if you're struggling as a pharmacist and you're not enjoying what you're doing, talk to people. There's some really good groups out there, some initiatives. Maybe Melody can dig them up and put them in the show notes or something. But
Yes.
there's some really good support services through the PSA and others for pharmacists that are finding it difficult, and that can be for all number of reasons. But I have thought about not being a pharmacist, not for a wee while, but I have. And I would actually be a Jim's lawnmower. I would take a Jim's lawnmower franchise and I would mow people's lawns and cut their hedges and do their gardens. I don't know why. I just reckon that would be cool.
Exactly, because even I'm stunned. Mouth is hanging open right now because that was not exactly what I thought.
Yeah, that's
But
what I do.
okay.
Yeah, either that
Okay.
or work for Parks Australia and go out and put walking trails in and dig up bits of dirt so that people can walk into some of the beautiful areas of Australia. That's the other thing I'd probably do, but I don't think that's sustainable.
So
Not
that's
with a family.
okay. Well,
If
thank
you want your
so
lawn
much,
mowed,
Brad.
you
Well,
know
I'm
who to
happy.
ask.
Definitely, if you need a lawnmower, well, you've got a lawnmower, I take it.
I've got a lawnmower, yeah. I've got all the tools,
Okay,
all the
good.
gear,
Okay,
and
that's one step.
all the gear and no idea, Melody. But I'm willing to learn. I'm a hard worker, and I'll do a good job. I'll blow all the grass off the footpath. I'll do a good job, I promise. I'm not going to do that for a while, but maybe a retirement project, a Jim's lawnmower.
Well, I think Men's Health Downunder is going to keep you quite busy. quite busy. So retirement may not be in the cards anytime soon. And you've actually mentioned that some pharmacists who are retired are taking it up, as part of something they can do and consult in. So that's amazing. So I don't think you're going anywhere, Brad.
Well,
this is it for you.
Maybe I could collaborate with Jim's Lawnmower. Maybe they could. Maybe we could do a collaboration with Jim's Lawnmower. We could have a Jim's penis pumping or something. Anyway, food for thought. I'll give it some thought. There's an idea.
Thoughts. Well,
heard it here first.
That is an idea. We might not explore that just yet, but we'll keep it in mind. Might get a voucher. Maybe a voucher is what can be the collaboration.
Yeah. Melody, that's been a
Brad,
real pleasure.
It's always really good. I thank you so much for your time today. And we're going to put all the details down about the conference. We're also going to continue promoting it in IPA to ensure that the word gets out there. We want to see you succeed at the end of the day, Brad. That is our mission as well. You work hard. We want to make sure that you've got the backing and the support behind you to ensure that everything that you set your eyes on and hope for succeeds. We hear that you would like to open up more clinics. We're going to work hard to ensure that more clinics are available for men in Australia, around Australia. So they shouldn't have to travel or make that long trek. They shouldn't
even have to do it telehealth. Like, I don't want them to have to do a telehealth.
Yeah.
That fella in Gosford today, I mean, that was a bit of an exception because I've got a pharmacist who's away in Gosford, so he said, could I do that? But I don't want to do a telehealth with him. I mean, it was fine. It was really nice and he got good advice and all that's great. But the best people for our communities to deal with are the ones that are in their local pharmacy and do it face to face. That's who they trust. That's who they want to talk to. They don't want to talk to Brad in Canberra. They want to talk to Joe in Albury or whoever it might be. So, Melody, if there's IPA members that want to join in, very happy to take them on. Absolutely. Yeah. And look, I really appreciate the support 100%. Of IPA. As I say, it's it's a two-way street, obviously, but the reality is that the support we've had from IPA has been great. When we mentioned the conference, it wasn't even a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, no problem. Let's help you guys. Let's talk about the work you're doing. When we're at APP, let's make you available to talk to people that are coming through the IPA network. And it doesn't even have to be through the IPA network. If there's people that don't know what IPA is or don't know what they do, and you're an independent or you're
just
not,
reach out to you.
Have a look, have a chat to the guys at IPA. They're not going to force anything down your throat. Whether or not you want to do a clinic, I think IPA is they'll support you if you want support, and if you don't want support, that's fine. But really appreciate the support. The team there is so good and so invested in everything they do. So, Melody, thank you for the chat today, and hopefully that's been of some help for some early career pharmacists or some late career pharmacists or some that are struggling as a pharmacist or some that don't know what they want to do as a pharmacist, because I think if we can help a few pharmacists increase their scope of practice, help people in the local community, do something more than just putting the sticker on the box, have a fulfilling role. That would be really valuable too. I mean, I want to help the guys, but I want to help pharmacists as well. Let's do something fun. Let's enjoy going to work every day. It shouldn't be a chore.
100%. I agree with you. And with that, we will close for today.
Love your work.
Thank you so much, Brad. At Independent Pharmacies of Australia Group, we're dedicated to supporting a network of leading independent and bannered pharmacies nationwide with a vision to connect all member pharmacies under the IPA national brand, recognized by Australians for elevating community healthcare to meet local needs. Thank you for joining us today on the Pharmacy Podcast. We appreciate your support in our mission to shape a thriving and patient-centric pharmacy industry. For more information about Independent Pharmacies of Australia, you can visit our website, ipagroup.com, or stay connected with us on social media. Thank you once again for joining us. We look forward to welcoming you back soon as we continue our journey together, enhancing community healthcare